Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the Infatuasian podcast, a show where we talk with and about Asian creators that we love. And we have an old friend with us today. We have Jon Xue Zhang. Hey John, how's it going?
I'm so good. Curtis, thank you so much for having me back. It's lovely to chat to you again.
Yeah, you've been busy. We've been talking about this for months.
Oh, I know. We finally made it happen. This was
Yeah.
on my to-do list to jump back onto the show.
No. I threw this idea out to you probably in summer, maybe. And you said you
Yeah,
were totally down to do it, but you had a lot on your plate, which I think is good. For an actor to be busy is good. You don't want an actor to be sitting around all the time.
absolutely. And to be honest, this year has been quiet for everyone. So
Oh,
to have some work this year has been a blessing. But I think next year should be picking up.
okay. For everybody.
Fingers crossed. Absolutely.
Okay. So if you guys don't remember, John is an actor, a producer, a stunt person, a fight choreographer, a musician. And actually, I found a little tidbit I'll talk about later. I found out that you also have a degree in counseling and other stuff that we'll talk about in a second. I dug a little deep,
Oh gosh.
but you may know him from our Brother Son episode, and John plays Blood Boots in The Brother Son on Netflix. You guys should definitely watch that one. But he's been acting in over 35 shows, and you have some of these great character names. Can I read some of your character names?
Wait, gosh.
This will bring back some memories for you, probably. Doctor Da. One of your characters was called Face. Just one word, Face.
Ah,
Blaze, Fat Tony, Big Jake, the Mighty Low. Does that sound familiar?
yeah.
One of your characters was called Brain. Is that? Do you know what that?
Yeah, I believe it was Dr. Brain. I don't know why they took the doctor away.
Okay, Doctor Brain. But you have a range. You could be a doctor. You could be a killer. You could be a henchman. You know.
So I believe Brain was a villain, and
Oh,
I think the university in which he went to probably revoked his doctorate. So that's not a bad thing.
probably. You start killing people. Yeah, probably not good. But also, you probably seen John and didn't know you saw John because he's done stunt work and body double stuff for a lot of famous people. So he was Gilgamesh's body double in The Eternals as famous Don Lee. You were in Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw. Who were you in that one? Were you?
I am the first goon that the Rock beats up. So Dwayne Johnson throws me over a table, and
Nice.
yeah, I kind of approach him. I think it's in the tattoo parlor. I walk up to him and I say, "Hey, what you got, big man?" And I walk to him with my arms wide open, and he assaults me and then
No.
throws me over.
Why? You were just trying to be friends. You were just trying to make some new friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You're so misunderstood. You're misunderstood.
No.
But then actually another one, you were in Doctor Strange.
Hmm.
Were you Wong in that one?
Yeah. I was doing background stunts for the Hong Kong scene at the end.
Hmm.
Um, I crawled through that scene many times. I don't think you can see me, but
Even you're
it's
looking
one
for
of those things.
yourself and you can't even see. Uh, but this one, and I think I heard that this one was kind of your foot in the door. Was 47 Ronin with Keanu Reeves?
Yes. So back in 2010, my brother saw an open casting. They said, "Are you Asian and are you a martial artist? And would you like to be in a film?
Mm-hmm.
If so, show up at this time." And yeah, I thought, okay, let's give this a try. I had just finished my studies, so I thought, let's check this out. Yeah, and we went there. They just took some photographs of us, and they said, "Yeah, we'll be in touch." I thought, oh, okay, great. And we weren't sure what to make of this, and maybe about a month later, like a casting agency reached out to us saying, "Oh, we'd like to send you for an audition for this film. Um, it's at Shepperton Studios, and if you're a martial artist." So I thought, okay, yeah, no problem. And I gave a decent account of myself to the point where they called me back for something called boot camp, where they they cast maybe 40. I don't think it was even 47 of us, about 40 of us, and they trained us to do screen fighting,
Uh,
sword fighting, and it was we had the Japanese stunt team who came, some guys from LA, and it was amazing.
huh.
Like a dream come true.
Yeah.
You're getting taught by industry experts
Yeah.
on how to throw punches and not hit anyone.
Uh-huh.
And that was really my introduction into the film industry back in 2010, 2011.
Huh.
And for a lot of us, that was our first jobs. That was our first job, and then it
Yeah.
kind of snowballed from that point onwards.
Nice.
So a lot of the boys that I worked with on 47 Ronin, they are doing big stunts nowadays, big films, and I'm ever so proud of them.
Wow.
And occasionally I get to see them on set, and we get to reminisce about the 47 Ronin days.
Yeah. Yeah. And I heard you actually got to meet Keanu Reeves very, very briefly on the set.
Yes, absolutely. So when I was on 47 Ronin, we did night shoots. It was about 3 months of night shoots, which was exhausting. And for a whole week, he would come over to this fire bin where I was trying to stay warm, and he would chat to me, and he was super nice. Maybe for about 2 or 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes max,
Uh-huh.
and then, an assistant would pull him away. And, I think the first night I didn't realize it was him because he was so normal to talk to. He was so down to earth. And he was saying, oh, this is your first film? Wow, hey, I'm finding it. Is this something you want to do
Like
more
really
of?
interested
Or,
in you.
yeah.
Huh.
And it was just amazing. And you see how he works, and he's just a real professional and very kind to everyone. Doesn't matter what their job was, he was nice to everyone. So when I randomly in downtown LA in July 2022 saw him in an
So like
elevator,
12 years later. Yeah.
absolutely. This was insane. So I was in the elevator with someone from costume because we were going to downtown to get Blood Boots' jacket adjusted and
Mm-hmm.
get me measured up and everything. So I'm in the elevator with Allison, and we're going up one floor, and the door opens, and Keanu Reeves walks in. And I thought that's definitely him, but I'm not going to say anything because it's been years. And to be honest, uh, whilst I know he's a nice guy, he's a private guy too. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to harass him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Allison said to me, so yeah, basically, this guy's going to measure you up. We're filming tomorrow, so we need the jacket sorted by tomorrow. And then we went up another floor, and the door opened. And as I was about to leave, Keanu Reeves says to me, "Hey, best of luck with your shoot." And I said to him, "Oh my goodness. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Reeves. Actually, you and I worked together 12 years ago on 47 Ronin, and you were so nice to me. You're actually one of the reasons why I'm still in the game. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that." And he said to me, "Oh my God, 47 Ronin." I was like, "Yeah." I said, "Dude, you were so lovely to me. Like, thank you. Can we get a selfie with you?" And he goes, "Yeah." So I get my selfie with him. I shake his hand, and the elevator door closed, and I collapsed. And
Dude.
Allison said to me, "Wait, what? How did you stay so composed throughout?" And I said, "Well, I've had 11 or 12 years to practice
Uh,
that."
yeah, that's awesome. I love hearing it when, someone that we hear stuff about on the internet and it actually comes true, or he is who he says he is, or who we think he is.
Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think with him, he genuinely is such a down-to-earth guy. And I knew that from day one to 12 years later when I saw him
Uh,
again. And it was, I think everything they say about him is true. So anytime that you see him out and about, or when he's just being his kind, generous self, that really is him.
yeah. That's awesome. What a story. All right, so Keanu Reeves, if you're listening out there, come on the podcast. we'd, we'd love to chat with you. Oh man. Well, John, when you're a super, super, super big star, don't forget us too. Don't forget the little people, John.
Oh, this is the crazy thing. After the Brother Sun got released, because I was in LA at the time, getting recognized on the street was pretty insane. So when I came back to the UK, I thought, right, you know, it doesn't go under the radar. And I had people who would recognize me on the bus, but they would look at me and not be too sure if it was me
Right.
or not.
Yeah.
Because why would blood boots be on a
In
bus?
London.
Yeah, yeah. So I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. But
Yeah.
then I remember at the gym, someone said to me, dude, I've just seen a show and there's a guy in it that looks just like you. You're in way better shape than he is.
Actually, you are though, right? Are
Yeah.
you in better shape now than you were? I think you said that you lost some
I,
weight.
yeah, 44 pounds,
Oh,
I think.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, and you are a recognizable dude. I mean, there's not a lot of dudes that look like you.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a cool industry, and you're living a good life. It seems like and I believe that good things happen to good people. So I'm glad that you're doing well, man. That's really good.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Well, actually, so we're here, and we're gonna do something fun. I think for the audience, we're gonna pick your brain because you've been in and around. Like, when did you start martial arts? Like, little kid?
1993.
Hmm.
So I would have been 5 when I started.
Okay. Okay.
My dad was my first instructor, and
Uh,
my first training partner was my brother. So it's all I've ever known.
uh-huh, uh-huh. Okay, so
Hmm.
this is great for us. So we're gonna do. I don't know how much breakdown. We'll see whatever we can find on YouTube. We'll do a little breakdown of some scenes, but we're gonna ask John to rank, and you could do as many as you want. But I was thinking five. I was thinking five. We're gonna have you rank your top five martial artists on screen.
Gosh.
And it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be a little hard. I think we can narrow it down. So we'll have some honor. We'll give you room for honorable mentions as well. And so
Amazing.
I'm excited to hear. And we haven't talked about this ahead of time, so we don't know. I don't know what John's gonna say. So this will be interesting. And I just want to talk some martial arts and especially that on screen. But
Sure.
before we do that, I think we did your roots a little bit. So you're Chinese, born in UK or born in China?
I was born in UK. My parents are from
Oh,
Taiwan.
Taiwan.
So which made my appearance on The Brother Sun that much more authentic.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. The British accent and all. So are
Absolutely.
there a good amount of Taiwanese folks in the UK?
There are. I think in the UK, because there's fewer Asians in the UK than there are in the US, for
Right,
instance.
right.
I think we just it's like the British-born Chinese groups and everything. So it doesn't matter which part
Uh,
of Asia you're from.
yeah.
A lot of us are in that
You
group.
kind of clump. Like you said, you learned Cantonese from your pals at school, right? Like,
Absolutely, yes,
okay, okay.
yes.
So actually, when you went so you filmed in the San Gabriel Valley, was that like, there's a lot of Taiwanese down there. Did you feel like, oh, this is different. This is a little different than London.
Absolutely. And it was also one of the most welcoming communities, and it was just lovely to be there. I think the weather was just too hot for me though at the
Uh,
time.
yeah, it is a little warm. You got to come to the Bay Area. Bay Area is a little cooler. So,
Oh, good to
yeah,
know.
come up.
Yeah.
Come on. We'll take you out to food too.
Oh, thank you.
So you said dad was your first instructor. What's his specialty? Kung Fu?
Yes, so different styles of Kung Fu. And he then got me to train with other people. And one of them was a Special Forces instructor who is to this day still one of my instructors.
Oh, wow.
So we trained in a lot of different styles. So I never specialized as such. It was a bit of this, a bit of that. Then I'll go back to this, maybe a bit of that.
Man, you're living every Asian kid, especially boys. You're living all of our dreams. Because I remember being a kid. So I grew up in the '70s and '80s, and in the playground, the
Mm.
non-Asian kid will always come over to you and say, "Hey, do you know kung fu?" Or like that, and I could never say yes, right? I never learned. I had never martial arts, trained, but you actually could say, "Why, yes, I do."
Well, I remember this guy was got really, really drunk and kind of got on my face, and he says, "What are you going to do? You're going to kung fu my bow or something like that?" And I said to him, "I might know kung fu, I might not, but why risk it?"
Okay, I gotta use that. I gotta use that line too. But
Yeah,
I,
why risk it?
I think it works better coming out of your mouth, though. For sure, you got a little more of the physique for it. But yeah, is that something? Did your dad have strict policies like, hey, you can't use this outside of the studio, or it's not a dojo, but you can't use it
Yeah.
out of the school.
So in martial arts, we're always taught that fighting is the last resort. So when I would teach martial arts or teach self-defense, I think we are far better talkers than we are fighters. I would say that about 99% of the population.
Uh huh.
99% of the population are far better at talking than they are at fighting.
Sure.
So let's utilize that first.
Mm,
If you can talk, then let's, you know, teach you some conflict resolution so you can talk your way out of a situation first.
yeah.
And then, we can get onto the physical stuff as well. But, I think it's learning how to communicate, learning how to compose yourself under pressure, and then you can do your physical training. Because if you have physical training, but you don't know how to compose yourself under pressure, then those physical techniques are actually useless
Yeah.
because you're too nervous to put them into practice. So it's like I think when you're about to do a driving test, you're going to be so nervous. You might be a really good driver, but
Mm,
as soon as it's under exam conditions, oh, the environment has changed, the
huh.
conditions have changed, and you are not your best self under that kind of pressure. So you need to learn how to compose yourself first.
Yeah.
So I always say to people, um, you know, if you have the ability to cause harm to someone, then you should have the control not to as well.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, that's good. Like some of your characters that you play on screen probably could use that advice.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? Some of the characters I play on screen could probably learn to keep their guard up as well and not take too many to the face.
I know you end up dying in most of the films you're in.
Absolutely. And I think when you work as a stunt performer, you pretty much die in everything you're in. That is part of the job.
Oh man.
And when you do auditions for stunts, they want to see how well you can do weapons, how well you can do hand to hand, but also how well you can take reactions, how well you can take shots, or someone hitting you, and they just want to see how well you can. Is your reaction proportionate to the action that's just being delivered to your face?
Right, right, right. All right, but we're here for another reason. We're here
Yeah.
to pick your brain because you have kind of yeah, not kind of, you have a unique perspective because you've been in films, you've choreographed films, you've seen it as a kid, as a fan, you've watched it. So you have a long, long history of this stuff. So I wanted to pick your brain and talk about your favorite on-screen martial artists. Now, some of these guys can really fight. Like a lot of these guys are actually really good fighters in real life too.
I think a lot of the old school martial arts stars, they had a martial arts background before they got into film.
Hmm.
And nowadays, you see a lot of actors who come from a theatrical background and they get into martial arts when they are on set. But a lot of the people like Bruce Lee, like Jet Li, they had a background in the martial arts first.
Hmm.
Now, I know different styles will do different things, but like wushu, for instance, I'd say to people, martial arts splits into three main categories. You have fighting, health, and performance.
Hmm.
So we all train for health. We want to be strong, physically strong, mentally strong, and we want to train for self-defense. Or if you're a competitive athlete, then you're training to fight in competitions. But ultimately, a lot of these guys train to perform, and they
Hmm.
perform for a living. So you're still using all those martial skills just in a different way. So when I see like a real fighter on screen, they really have to adjust that fighter's movement so that they don't get too close to hit anyone.
Yeah.
So it is a bit of an adjustment, but I would say my favorites, gosh. Um, so I think number one is Jet Li because I love him,
Yeah.
and I met him in 2000, and
Mm.
I was part of the Jet Li fan club. So I would have been 12,
Uh-huh.
and meeting your childhood hero when you're a child is it. mind blowing.
Yeah, yeah.
And we got to see him perform, do some martial arts. It was maybe 20 seconds, but that blew my mind
Hmm.
because his balance, just his movement, his speed, what was
Hmm.
overwhelming. It was unbelievable how quick he was. And yeah, he seemed still very relaxed. He put energy into the movements. They were very powerful, but he still seemed so relaxed. So
Hmm.
we know he can go quicker.
Hmm.
So Jet Li, absolutely Jet Li, because he also is a lovely person.
Hmm.
And I think that the mark of a good martial artist as well. When you have that charisma, but you're also kind, caring, but you also have the skills to throw down. I
Wow.
love that.
Yeah. What was Jet's background? Jet was he was trained in not for stage fighting. He was trained in
So it was wushu. He was a national wushu champ 5 years in a row.
uh
So when you see him in back in the day doing his forms, it's like watching poetry in motion. It
hmm.
is like a seeing a feather in the wind. That is how I would describe Jet Li's
Hmm.
movements. So when you see him perform those in films, it's like wow.
Yeah.
So I think when he came over to Hollywood, a lot of the fight sequences I would say were probably so much easier for him to perform
Uh-huh.
than the one he did in Hong Kong,
Uh,
because I think when you have opponents who maybe have more of a brawling kind of style, and he's kind of having to throw back with that with
yeah.
some kung fu flair, that's certainly easier than fighting, say, Jet Li versus Donnie Yen,
Right.
where they're both having to do these phenomenal
Uh-huh.
movements that require flexibility, speed, and posture. And you can see these guys that are just they just move so synergistically together. It
Uh-huh.
is something.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so wushu, for those out there who don't know, is kind of the foundation of kung fu, right? Or what would you say? I'm butchering this here.
These days, a lot of wushu is performance based,
Mm.
and when you see, I think the era that Jet Li came from, um, I think you could specialize in different styles. So you would have main forms that you would do, and then you would branch off and specialize in certain styles. And I think, like, I have friends who are part of the national wushu team here in the UK,
Mm-hmm.
and my gosh, the training is rigorous.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you see them do their demonstrations, it's that is such a small part of their daily lifestyle because they spend so long
Uh,
training, stretching,
uh,
and rehabbing.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, and it's the same thing with a similar thing with like Peking opera,
Mm-hmm.
where you have to be phenomenally athletic, acrobatic, flexible, agile, and you also had to act and sing too.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
so that takes me on to my next one, which is Sammo Hung.
Oh,
Now,
okay. Yeah.
Sammo Hung, for someone of his build,
Yeah.
he can move the way he does. It's phenomenal. I love I love Sammo Hung's fight style, his action design. It's beautiful and it's brutal. Fantastic. And the thing is, I would say it would be a disservice for me to say he can really move for a big guy. I mean, he can, but he just moves so well.
Yeah.
Like even if he was slim with that kind of movement, it is still top class.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. And seeing someone who can be as agile as him and still move the way he does, and he is one of the greats. He's
Yeah.
absolutely one of them.
Yeah.
There is no doubt about it.
Yeah, and we out here in America, we didn't. He was both of these. Actually, a lot of these guys are much more well known over in Asia. And by the
Hmm.
time, like, I remember there's this TV show called Martial Law with Sammo Hung in
Yeah.
it. Yeah, and so he was probably already in his 40s by
Hmm.
the time that show came out. So he had already a career in Hong Kong and doing so much stuff. And yeah, like what you said, describe he's so smooth, but then he's kind of chubby. You know, you look at him, he's not super muscular, he's not super lean. And it's going back to Jet Li too. Jet Li is a pretty small guy, right? He's like 5'7", maybe.
Yeah, and I would say maybe a little shorter.
Okay.
But I would say, I think so. But he is, yeah, Jet Li's very slight, but he's solid.
Yeah.
He's very solid. So, but that is decades of training that will give you that kind of, every muscle that he has on his body serves a purpose. And and for the most part, it's probably the purpose to kick someone in the face.
Yeah.
In multiple directions simultaneously.
Right. You want to try to find a clip? You have a favorite movie with Jet Li or Sammo Hung?
With Jet Li, I'm going to say Fist of Legend.
Okay, let's see if we can find one, and then you can break it down for us.
Gosh.
Let's see. I mean, we'll see what's online. We don't know. I'm not sure if it's going to be online or not, but everyone out there has seen Jet Li, but Fist of Legend, I don't know if we've seen that. Okay, Fist of Legend fight scene. I'll share my screen so we can break it down. With General Fujita.
That is a phenomenal fight scene.
Okay,
it is quite an extensive fight scene.
Okay, it's like looking at it, it's like 12 minutes. We'll shorten it up a little. Okay, let's see. So you tell me what you want to do here. Actually, let me make sure I'm sharing the sound. We need the sound too. Because the audience out there, you're gonna have to find this. So I'm looking at YouTube, and I googled Fist of Legend, and you have Chunjun versus General Fujita. It is 10 minutes and 18 seconds long. Hold on one second.
So the guy who plays General Fujita is a guy called Billy Chow, who was a world Thai boxing champion. And he was in loads of Sammo Hung, Jackie Chan films. And I have friends who have trained at Billy's gym before in Hong Kong, and they said the guy is hard as nails, and he's legit.
Okay, so do you remember this? You know the setup of the scene. You want to set up the scene for us?
I know the setup of the scene, yeah. So we can skip ahead a little.
Okay, go ahead and talk, and I'll skip ahead.
So I would say, so this bit, he runs up, and you just see this general can just take all these moves. It's this move right here where he drops a axe kick onto his shoulder, and he just takes it.
Shrugs it off.
Absolutely.
Double head kick. So this is a kind of a disciple at the it's not called a dojo. What would you call it?
He is actually the son of the head teacher of the school.
Okay.
And the head teacher got poisoned.
Oh. So he probably thinks this general is responsible for his dad's death?
Absolutely is.
Okay.
Spoiler
alert. So his son is trying to attack him, but the general is having none of it. It takes him down pretty easily, one-handed. He was holding a sign, but then
Jet Li's got to throw down with him.
Jet Li was observing in the corner.
Yes.
And
just the beauty of this fight scene, where you see the timing and you just see how tough this general actually is. Now, see, he just takes that kick.
Yeah.
And it's and it doesn't matter how hard or how quick Jet Li is, the general just keeps taking it and keeps coming forwards. And it's relentless.
Taking out pillars.
Absolutely. And you can see Jet Li's character is really just, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm kind of not accustomed to this.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful because eventually he wears down the general. Eventually, and it's just sheer determination, sheer having to adapt his style as well. So there's a bit later on in this fight where he kicks underneath the general's armpit, his underarm. And, that's a weak spot, and if you keep aiming for that spot.
I love it. Okay, we don't have time for all this, but yeah, so good.
okay, with Sammo Hung, Pedicab Driver is definitely one of my favorite films.
Okay.
Yeah.
1989, and they're playing up the fact that he's got a big butt.
Absolutely. And actually, he also fights Billy Chow at the very end of this.
Oh,
Uh, yeah. You just see how fast
yeah,
Sammo Hung really, and, yes, he does use his weight, but he's so fluid with it. And a lot of his, especially with him, Jackie Chan, Yuan Biao, it's a lot more comedic as well and satirical.
right.
And I love that. It's because you can showcase all those martial elements using your environment and everything and be very creative about it. And that's a huge appeal to a lot of uh, people who are not even into martial art films. Like this is actually just really entertaining. I love Jackie Chan,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Mm.
No, this is great. Okay, yeah.
Oof.
So
Yeah.
now is he? What's Sammo's background? Is it kung fu as well?
So him, Jackie Chan, and Yuan Biao, they did Peking opera.
Oh, that's right.
So, but it's like if you see them do those traditional kung fu styles, my gosh, they move beautifully.
Hmm.
It's like they're like when you watch Jackie Chan's Snake and the Eagle's Shadow, it's like, oh wow, okay, this is incredible. And you see, uh, Drunken Master, for instance.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So this is Billy Chow again.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's got that.
yeah,
I
yeah.
guess he's
No,
got that face, that evil-looking face.
yeah.
All right. So we're
From what I hear, he's a really, really down to earth, lovely guy.
ah, so we're watching Sammo Hung watch in Pedicab Driver, 1989. Yeah, this is amazing. This is
Yeah,
like the acrobatic background. You can see that in his moves, but the
absolutely.
comedy timing and then the physicality.
And the black eyes.
The black eye, instant black eyes, right? You got hit 1 minute ago, and now you have two black eyes. Yeah, no, he's great. Okay, so moving on to
Oh,
John's number 3. Who would you put?
So,
Now, are these in order? Are we
ooh,
going in order here?
you know,
It's hard.
so like I relate more to Sammo because I am of a larger build. Um, but then obviously you have Jackie Chan, Yuan Biao, and if you see their fights in Dragons Forever, when you see them when they're fighting multiple people, or when you see Jackie Chan versus Yuan Biao, it's beautiful to watch because they all grew up together. They have
Hmm.
that timing, that expert timing. They have that. They know each other so well. So Dragons Forever is one of my favorite films for sure.
Okay, let's go to Dragons Forever. Who else is in that? Is
So yeah, Yuan Hua, who is also the landlord in Kung Fu Hustle.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So he was Bruce Lee's stunt double in Enter the Dragon as well.
But it's got,
Now,
okay, so we have Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, Yun Bao, Pauline Young, Deanie
hmm.
Yip.
So you have this fight against Benny the Jet Akitas, who is a world kickboxing champion.
Oh,
Like he is one of the greatest of all time. And honestly, you see how Benny the Jet moves and how he fights, and there's so much ferocity to his movements. And him and Jackie Chan work so well together. And I think one of the best fight scenes of all time has to be Jackie Chan versus Benny the Jet in Wheels on Meals. That is one of the best
mm-hmm,
fights of all time. But this one, love it. I
mm-hmm.
love it. It's like, yeah, and you see when they really, throw punches at each other, and when they're exchanging, they're blocking each other's punches. Oof, you actually feel it.
Yeah, and you're in a factory here, so there's lots of steam coming out of pipes. There's a forklift, so it's
Absolutely.
all foreshadowing, right? There's bags of cement. Like you all know that this is all going to come into play during this fight.
Absolutely. And I think as a kid growing up watching all of these films, suddenly my kung fu got way better after watching these films.
Yeah. Like I'm looking at a glass case behind them. You know that someone's going into that glass case.
Ooh, yeah, you might be right.
So Jackie Chan's not a pure martial artist, but he probably just learned how to do the moves for performance sake.
So I would say because of his Peking opera background, he's so athletic,
Yeah.
acrobatic, and a lot of these Peking opera performances would have elements of kung fu in them.
Yeah.
So that their training was real. They had to do very hard training. So when it came to doing martial art movements for film, one, they're used to performing on stage, but two, they can do this. They can do all of this. Yeah, and you got the younger brother, Yuan Biao, who's also in this, who is just phenomenally agile and flexible, and they're all incredible.
Yeah.
And I think anytime the three of them did a film together, you know it was going to be good. Look at the shape Jackie Chan is in.
Oh yeah.
He is not a small guy.
Yeah. I mean, he's known for the comedy, but he can also, yeah, he's flexing pretty hard here.
And when you watch here's where they throw hands and now they shake it off because it hurts.
Yeah, right. The comedy.
When you see Jackie Chan's later films now, like The Foreigner, it's more serious. And it's really good to see that. Jackie Chan still has his signature agility and using the environment to his advantage, but it's a serious tone. It's not funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's great to see Jackie Chan actually doing more serious roles. And he's like, oh, he's a really excellent actor.
Yeah, another one where, by the time America saw him, yeah, he was at least in his 40s, maybe even 50s. And, we didn't get to see him in his prime. So, like, his earlier stuff, like Super Cop, Drunken Master, they were a little,
Yes.
he was in his younger days. And famous for doing his
Absolutely.
own, he's doing all his own stunts and his own fight scenes. How hard is that as an actor to know that you're gonna, he probably takes a couple punches to the face by accident, right? And he's getting
It
thrown.
does happen. It does happen.
Yeah.
When you do fight sequences, sometimes one of the performers, they might be a step quicker or they might be nervous, but then it might be a bunch of things. So on Saturday, I had to do a talk at a local cinema about action cinema, which was great. And my assistant, who's part of my team, we had to do a little fight sequence, which was great. Now, the cinema is quite dark. There's some lighting, but it's quite dark, and our weapons were black, so that didn't help.
Yeah.
And there's a guy taking photographs, and there was a lot of flashes with his photography, so it was like strobe lighting, and we were just depending on each other's sense of timing because we've rehearsed these movements enough.
Yeah.
And actually, neither of us got hit.
Hey.
It's testament to lots of rehearsals. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
And I would say accidents do happen. You do catch each other, and you kind of have to roll with it. Otherwise, you've ruined the take,
Yeah.
and you have to do it again.
Yeah.
But it's like I've been kicked in the nuts before, and we just had to. And I remember, the actor who did it was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Oh, we could have continued. Now we've got to do that again." Okay. Yeah, it's
man.
or getting punched in the face when they have a ring, and it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah. Oh man. Occupational hazard.
absolutely, And sometimes when you are rehearsing, that's one thing, you've locked it down. But when you wear costumes and you have the pressure of 100 crew members watching you, it's like very busy, and suddenly they say quiet on set. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, you're really feeling the nerves.
Yeah.
Okay. You're wearing the costume, which is different to what you would have rehearsed in. And, it's, what's my mobility like? And because you're nervous, you're probably going to go faster. So when I teach screen fighting seminars and workshops, I always say, look, bring it down to 50% first, and maybe you can up it to 60 or 70. Make sure the moves are big. You expand the moves because if they want to speed it up, they can. But
Yeah.
if you go too quickly, what tends to happen is you rush and you'll cut those movements short. And then when they try to slow it down, it doesn't look good. So it's better to go a little bit slower and make those movements bigger because it's all about intensity over speed.
Mm.
That is so, so important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but of course, if you are working on these Hong Kong action films, my gosh, the speed in which they go at, the intensity, yeah, that's real emotion there.
Uh, yeah. Yeah. I can imagine. All right. So you're calling Jackie Chan your third pick? Is that
I'm gonna have to,
okay? You
yeah,
gotta you
yeah.
gotta put Jackie Chan in there. All right. You got two more.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. So, Yuan Biao, who is the other brother, obviously. I mean, I think I would put the three of them in the same category there, because they're all greats.
Yeah.
Uh, of course, I have to say Michelle
You
Yeoh.
have to.
Uh, now, of course, I have to say her, but
Yeah.
I cannot put her on a top five. She is my favorite of all time.
Yeah, yeah. Now her background was dancing, right? I believe she was like
Absolutely.
ballet and then Asian dance as well, Chinese dance.
Here's the thing with Michelle. I think the doctor said to her because she had an injury that she should not continue dancing. So instead, she did martial arts and stunts instead.
Yeah, much easier on the body, I guess. I don't know.
which I'm like, wait, how tough was the dance that you were doing?
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so.
Now, when you watch something like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon,
Yeah.
my gosh, it's a beautifully shot film, but two, the fight sequences are just it poetry.
小龙，通通出去，把门关上。
It is
Yeah.
just so elegant and
Yeah.
eloquent in which they move, and you feel the weight of the weapons. You see
Yeah.
the in their eyes and the performance. It is really something else. And I believe Zhang Ziyi. She also came from a dance
Also a
background,
dancer. Yeah, you're right.
so she had that requisite flexibility. But when you work with dancers, it's like okay. When you're kicking, don't point your toes too much because but you look at Zhang Ziyi, she would have you fooled. You'd think she'd been doing martial arts for so long, but
Yeah.
it's honestly, and then when Zhang Ziyi did Rush Hour 2, I believe it was.
Uh huh.
Wow. Wow. I mean, she brought it. It's probably easier for her to do those sequences than Crouching Tiger, Hidden
Oh
Dragon for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. For sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But one of the movies that I love that has not all, but a lot of these guys was Hero
Oh,
with so
absolutely.
you have Jet Donnie Yen, you got Zhang Xi, Maggie Cheung, not a martial artist, not known as a martial artist, but yeah, beautiful people in beautiful
Yes.
costumes in a beautiful film doing amazing scenes. So that's one of my
So,
favorite, a little bit more recent martial arts.
mm,
But yeah,
it's beautiful
yeah,
because when you see Jet Li versus Donnie Yen,
hmm
my gosh.
yeah,
Now, those two have done battle previously on Once Upon a Time in China
right,
too.
right.
And that is another phenomenal film because they actually have two fight sequences in that. There's one where they spar, and then there's the one where they fight at the very end where they really throw down. And my goodness,
Yeah,
as a kid, it blew
yeah,
my mind.
yeah,
You just see how, and Donnie Yen as well. My gosh, he like
yeah.
from what I know of Donnie Yen and people who've worked with him, he is in even at his age now, he's still so fast.
Yeah.
He's so sharp, and if you think him in his prime,
Oh man.
how quick was he
Yeah.
actually?
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard. So I did a little research before we did this episode, and people say, in terms of pure martial arts, he may be the best in terms of pure martial arts.
I think he had a reputation for throwing down,
Mm.
when he in his younger days.
Yeah.
And to be honest, if you're a martial artist from a young age, you probably have scrapped around a little. It's um, if you look at someone like Michael Jai White, for instance, you know, phenomenal martial artist, and he is legit. I'm sure he's thrown down too a bunch of times.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, in the terms of martial arts production companies, Hong Kong still kind of. I know that, like, even for Crouching Tiger, they filmed it, I think, in Taiwan, but they brought in a Hong Kong fight crew.
Hmm.
Is that still kind of the case, or are there good teams everywhere now?
There are good teams everywhere now, and a lot of really good US stunt teams
Hmm.
are also heavily influenced by Hong Kong. Um, and you have someone like Jude Poyer, who is an amazing stunt coordinator, and I'm proud to call him my friend. He was in Hong Kong for 8 years, and he is the coordinator for Gangs of London, Apostle, and an upcoming film called Havoc, which I was happy to work on, very honored to work on with him. And I watched Jude in a film where he actually fights Vincent Zhao, but I watched it as a
Mm.
kid. So,
Hmm.
and you can see the influences of the Hong Kong experience brought to a Western premise. And it's, yeah, I would say though, I don't think, I think the guys in Hong Kong worked crazy hours. And
Uh-huh.
I mean, here we have unions and we have, okay, we have this, we have that, and all these precautions in place. And I think in the Jackie Chan times, that was less of a thing.
Yeah. No, Michelle Yeoh fell from in Super Cup. Michelle Yeoh got tossed from a bus to a car, and she fell on the actual street, like moving at 30 miles
So,
per hour. She's like, "Oh, Jackie, why did you make me do this?"
you know, uh, here's a funny thing in uh, Brother's Son in episode 5, where Blood Boots gets captured. Um, oh yeah, now I can talk about it.
Yeah,
So
that's true. That's
show's now been long enough. I can talk about it now.
yeah, yeah.
So there's a bit where when I get captured, I get thrown to the floor next to Michelle when she's sat down, and in some shots, the camera was quite tight on Michelle, so I had to fall very specifically and L shape my way onto my knees next to her, but not hitting the camera. And, I did it first time. And Michelle said to me, "Oh, do you do stunts?" I said, I have a stunt. Yes, I have a stunt background.
Uh-huh.
How do you know? And she looked at me and says, "I've been in those shoes."
Yeah, she knows. She knows.
I think the child, the little kid in me was oh my gosh,
Dream come true.
yeah. And I think also I have to add another hero, Gordon Liu,
Okay.
36th Chamber of Shaolin, absolutely. And I've met Gordon Liu before. He came to an expo in the UK in I think 2003 or 2004. Gordon Liu is just incredible. Like he's so powerful. He just exudes power. Uh, and when he did his performance, my gosh, everybody was quiet for it.
Oh, no.
Although I think the backing track was pretty loud, but yeah, just and he comes from old school. He's very old school.
Oh, okay. So he's another one that I wouldn't know. So like early 1980s. Okay, so we're looking at, I googled best fight scenes Gordon Liu. So this is 1981.
Mm.
So John, you weren't even born yet.
No, gosh, no.
I've seen his
And
face. No, I've seen this guy's
yeah,
face. Yeah.
he's in Kill Bill. He's in Kill Bill
Oh, okay.
1 and 2. In Kill Bill 2, he's Pai Mei, White Eyebrow. He's Uma Thurman's trainer.
Yeah, yeah. No, he had the classic kind of Shaw Brothers white beard looked. I mean, white mustache, Fu Manchu mustache. Yeah.
Absolutely. But no, Gordon Liu is another level. And having met him as well and sat down on a couch just chatting to him, you know, surreal. Just absolutely. I think 17 or 18-year-old me is was like, I cannot believe I'm chatting to you right now.
That is cool. Yeah, no, you're working your way up, right? You're working your way up in the industry. You're gonna start to meet more, check off some of these heroes. So you met Keanu Reeves, you met Michelle Yeoh, Gordon Liu. You've met who else have you met? You met some of these other guys that.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
met Jet Li as a 12-year-old.
yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing: I showed Michelle a photo of me and Jet Li from 2000, and she was like, "Wait, that's you? Oh my God. He was at my house like a week ago, but he's gone back to Singapore. Like, he would have loved to have seen you. Next time he's in town, I'll let you know. He would
Oh,
love to see you.
oh
Know that.
man.
It's so sweet."
Oh man. You know the best part about Michelle Yeoh right now is that she's not even at her prime yet. You know, she's
My
just getting
God.
there.
It's so true. It's like you know, I remember when she did I mean she did so well in Hong Kong, and when she did Tomorrow Never Dies, and she was a Bond girl, and
Hmm.
oh my gosh, wow. So her career, you know, wow, she's done so well for herself. And then, you know, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, I thought, oh, amazing. But then I think when she ventured into Star Trek Discovery,
Hmm.
I mean, okay, now Michelle Yeoh and Star Trek are two of the things I love the most. So when Michelle's telling us about her 40-year career, I just had questions about her time on Star Trek, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but then since Star Trek, she's done so many other things, and you know, she just keeps going up and up and up.
yeah,
And I think seeing how just humble she is and what a lovely person she is literally the cool aunt, your
yeah,
mother and your best friend rolled into one.
yeah,
Um, Genuinely such a lovely person.
yeah.
And yeah, you know, it's you know when you see her like throwing a couple punches and everything, it's like, oh, you know, she got some power and she
Yeah,
still has her ability. She's
yeah,
still super flexible.
yeah.
It's honestly amazing.
And you can say that you died at her feet.
I absolutely now I can say that absolutely.
put
You
that
know,
put that on the resume.
let me tell you something. So in episode 5, when I, that scene before I get blown away. That was my third day on
Oh
set.
wow.
I had been in LA for about a week, so I was still jet lagged, and I thought, wait, we're shooting this
Oh
scene
wow.
as my third day. God, because we never shoot anything in order.
Right,
Now,
right.
so that was my first day with her,
Oh
and
man.
the first day happened to be that
Oh
scene.
my gosh.
And so when she pulled me and pressed her forehead up against mine, I did not know she was going to do that. And
Oh.
that was really, yeah, really beautiful scene. You
Yeah.
know, she, it was a point where we made eye contact,
Hmm.
and I really wanted to cry.
Oh man.
Yeah, I was very, very close to crying. It got so real. I genuinely thought this was the end for me,
Oh
you
wow.
know. And then, yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
thought,
man.
oh my God, you know, just to bring my and she's so good. She can snap it in and out.
Oh wow.
She could because she's just that good.
Wow. Oh
Um,
man. So
yeah,
if we see you shaking and sweating there, it's not because you're that good of an actor. You are really shaking and sweating.
absolutely, absolutely. And also, let me tell you something. The Blood Boots costume was very warm. It was very
Yeah,
warm,
it's
you
like
know.
yeah.
Yeah, the leather coats, the bomber jackets, and all the other layers he was wearing underneath. It's like, ooh. And with LA being as hot as it is, and me coming from the UK being a cold country, well, what a shock that was for me.
Yeah, you're in the valley too. You're not even near the ocean.
Gosh.
Oh man. All right. Well, I think we're gonna have to cut it off. I don't know. Yeah, I know I could do this all night long, but I don't know. It's getting late over there in England, so we're gonna wrap this up. But thanks so much for coming on and talking some martial arts.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. And
But I'll be back on. I'll be back on before you know it.
I hope. Yeah, I hope so. But so there's something that you're doing that we can't mention, but we it's pretty awesome. So stay tuned for that. Maybe 2025 it'll come out, or 26 maybe even.
It'll be 26 when it comes out.
Okay.
We'll film in 25, but I can't announce it just yet.
Okay.
But all I can say is it's pretty awesome.
Okay. All right. So stay tuned for that. And then, yeah, if anything comes up, we'll definitely shout you out and make sure people get their eyes on it. So you guys can follow Jon. Well, first of all, I'll put all these clips that we watched in the show notes so you can watch along. It's all on YouTube now, which is pretty great. The fact that we can do that. Because it beats going down to the Chinese rental store back in the 90s. We had to go, we wanted to watch something from Hong Kong. We had to go to like the Chinese rental store or DVD or VHS even to get a tape of it. But it's all on YouTube.
Absolutely. It's like when you're in Hong Kong in the street market and you can see, okay. It's like I can buy this 3 discs, DVDs, and then, you're thinking you're going to watch a really great kung fu movie. You put it in, it's 3 discs of karaoke.
You don't know, yeah. Yeah, buyer beware. If you're buying stuff off a blanket on the streets of Hong Kong, buyer beware on this.
Absolutely.
But yeah, everyone out there, you can follow Jon at Jon Xue Zhang. I'll write that out for you on social media. Go watch Brother Sun. It's still available. No season 2, which we're really sad about, but season 1 was fantastic. The fight scenes, just watch it for the whole thing. But if you just want to see some great fight scenes in that as well.
Absolutely. We are still really proud of the work that we did on Brother Sun.
Yeah.
And I think whilst we didn't get a season 2, we put everything into season 1, and it stands on its own. And I'm immeasurably grateful for the opportunities and proud of the cast and crew.
Yeah, you definitely should be. Yeah, fantastic show. If you want to write to us, you can write to us at infatuasianpodcast@gmail.com. Send us your favorite fight scene that you've ever seen. Between Hero and Crouching Tiger, those are two of my favorites for sure. And Super Cop, Jackie Chan and Michelle Yeoh, a young Michelle Yeoh. Super fun show. But you can write to us and tell us your favorite. You can follow us at Infatuasian Podcast on Instagram. Everyone out there, thank you so much for listening. Anything we can see you other than Brother Sun? Is there anything we can pull up and see you in?
Yes. So upcoming film, it will be Kraven the Hunter. That's a Sony film. So yeah,
Kraven the
Hunter. Catch me in that.
Yeah, go check that out. But go keep up with Jon too. Find out what he's doing. Follow him on Instagram. And as usual, we thank you all for listening. And on behalf of Jon and myself, we hope that you're all happy, healthy, and safe out there. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.